Hello there, 7th graders. Miss Ray-Budman here with instructions for Colonization of America project number 2. In this project, you'll go, of course, to Google Classroom, click on your classwork tab, scroll on down here to project number 2 and open that. You'll see that there will be a couple different attachments there that we're going to be using. So for this project, we're actually going to do a little writing, research and writing, something we haven't done for quite a while. You've been doing some other activities, infographics and Nearpods, crossword puzzles, things like that. But I want you to continue to practice those important skills of researching and writing, something you're going to be expected to do throughout your education as well as in whatever job you happen to have. So for this one, obviously you're going to click here. There's some instructions there. Obviously you're watching the video. So the first thing that you're going to click on is this document. All right, it is just a Google Doc of instructions. And so what you'll see here is that you have been reading about in Odyssey Ware the different colonies that were being established by Europeans in colonial America. So you will practice your research and writing skills by selecting one of the original colonies. You're going to do some research on 3 topics. You'll also be making a comparison to at least one other colony, and then you're going to practice how we organize and edit and submit a writing sample. So the first thing you need to do is to pick one of these colonies. Don't care which one you pick, whichever one. Maybe it's one you've never been to and you want to research more about it. Maybe it's one you're going on vacation to this summer. Maybe it's just one you want to pick. Whatever. Pick a colony, all right? And then you are going to research these 3 topics, A, B, and C. So A is, how was your colony started? Who started it? What group of people? Where were they from? When did they come here? What were their motives? Were they coming here to set up a religious community? Were they coming here to set up a type of economy or to find certain things for their purpose? Where did they first start? And, how did they then kind of grow their colony? This might include some important people. For some colonies, you might have a name or 2 that you'll need to drop in this paragraph about who started your colony. Some of you will not have a particular person. It might be a group of people. For B, what is the economy? So what kind of resources does your colony have that your colonists were able to use to either successfully develop their colony or that they had to adapt to? What challenges did they face maybe with their geography or their economy or otherwise? So you're going to look at a little bit like what were they doing? They weren't just sitting around twiddling their thumbs. So what kind of economy did they have that allowed their colony to be at least somewhat successful and eventually be successful? And then C, what kind of government did they establish? And this might be one where they started with one thing and it may have kind of grew into something different over a series of, decades. So what kind of government did they create? How did they create a government that they thought was responsive to the colonists who live there? How did they respond to the Native Americans? And different colonies are going to have more or less on this. Some of your colonies, depending on what you pick, you may not have had a lot of interaction with Native Americans. So that might be something where you're like, well, there wasn't a lot of. Others of you will have a lot of interaction. So you're looking for the political development, how they developed the government of your colony and then how they expanded that. Somewhere in A, B, or C, somewhere in these 3 topics, you need to make at least one comparison. So your comparison needs to be something like Georgia, because maybe you're writing about Georgia, like Georgia, Virginia, and then you're going to obviously finish that statement. Maybe you're going to compare if Georgia and Virginia had a similar motive, or maybe they have a similar economy. Or a business that they, both participate in. Or maybe they both have a similar type of government. So you don't need to have one in each of these like that, but you need to have at least one statement somewhere in your 3 paragraphs that compares your selected colony with a different one. Pennsylvania was different from Massachusetts because. So maybe you find some reason for why those 2 colonies are different. Not something like Pennsylvania was different from Massachusetts because they start with different letters. That's not a historical comparison that's thoughtful. So you want to have at least one of those. You can have more than one, but you need to have at least one. Don't forget, this is practice in research and writing. So you need to remember to organize. I'll talk more about the organizer here in a minute. You need to paraphrase. That is one of the things we most practice with middle school writers. In elementary school, it's about how we research and how do we find the right things, and there's sort of some leeway in paraphrasing. By the time you're in 7th and the 8th grade, we have to practice not copying and pasting, because at high school you will get zeros and in college you'll be expelled. So we have to practice how we do that. So please be very careful. I will be submitting all of your essays into a plagiarism program. So you need to make sure that you paraphrase. That doesn't mean you change one word in the sentence. That's still copying and pasting. It means you find your research and then write it in your own words. I know it's frustrating sometimes, but it's something you have to practice doing. And then make sure you edit it. And I can help you to do that before you submit it. Make sure you turn this in on Google Classroom. All right, as a Google Doc, you'll make your own Google Doc, and then you'll type it and then turn it in. Obviously, there are some lessons in Odysseyware that you can use as sources. There's also a couple sites I put on here. This YouTube video is not specific to each colony, so it's not going to give you a lot of specific information for maybe your colony, but it is sort of a good overview if you think you might need that. My suggestion is right here. When you do a Google search, put your selected colony in there. So like, for example, I did Colonial, Massachusetts, and I found 2 good sources. So put in Colonial, whatever it is that your colony is. This site here, I checked it out. It seems a little sketchy. It has some odd advertisements that I'm not so sure are great. The information didn't seem entirely wrong. I'd just be careful if you happen to come across this Land of the Brave. If you're going to use something on there, just check, make sure on another site, make sure it looks like it's good information. So what I have below here is a sample organizer. And this organizer is not part of your assignment. You do not have to do it, and you should not be turning this into me. Now, if you want to show me your organizer to see if you're on the right track and whether or not I can help you prior to you writing your essay, that's a great idea. You don't have to do that, and you may not just use the organizer as your assignment. Part of what we want to practice here is how do we write. We've done organizers for other things. Now we want to practice how we put things into actual sentences and paragraphs. So do not turn this in. Now, if you want to use this because you like to have organizers when you're doing your research, you just need to go up here to File and go to Make a Copy and make a copy of this document. Then you can type into it. Please don't click on this and ask me to share it with you, because I'm going to tell you to go back to the instructions and make a copy. All right, so you're going to make a copy, and then if you want to type on it, you can. And basically all the organizer is here's what would go in paragraph 1 for the founding. Here's what would go in paragraph 2 for the economy. Here's what would go in paragraph 3 for the colonial government. There's your comparison. This would not be another paragraph. You'll read on here. This will go into whichever paragraph it fits. So if you want the organizer, you can use it. If you don't want it, you don't have to do it. It's just here for those students who like to have an organizer and who find it beneficial. All right, so when you're finished with this, you will obviously open up a Google Doc of your own in your Google Drive. And then when you're finished, you will turn it in. And if you're not sure how to turn it in, I put a PDF here. You can go to this PDF and scroll all the way to the bottom. And it says right here, how to turn in work from your Google Drive. You just hit the little plus add, and then you find it in your Google Drive, and you hit the purple, blue, whatever color it is, turn it in. I guess it's purple in here. And then that will be submitted. So if you need help with this assignment, please let me know. I'd be happy to help you. I can meet with you and set up a time to Zoom if you need some help. If you can't find resources, send me a message and I'll send you some ideas that I might be able to find. So let me know what you need. Have a great week, guys. Take care.